Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to my review of the Hearthstone Scholomance expansion. I decided to do a video review because I'm gonna write up an article in Dutch as well, and I figured if I'm gonna do it anyway, then I might as well make a video out of it first. So let me just grab my notes here. So, Scholomance, as you probably already know, is the second expansion of 2020. The first one was a bit more serious, but for this one, Blizzard decided, like, hey, we need to do something fun again, and they usually rotated between serious and fun. So this is a fun one, which is quite nice. You can watch the trailer online; it's actually really fun as well. And so there's 245 new cards that come into this set. That's about average, as you can see here on my overview. Um, you see like Ashes of Outlands had 245, this one is 245. Dragons had a few more with 252. So that's all normal. But what is new is actually the features that Blizzard added. So every expansion, there's a couple new keywords. This case, it's Spellburst. So we can go to the collection here and type in Spellburst. And so what Spellburst is basically is a sort of battle cry, but spell burst doesn't go off until after you cast a spell. So, for example, this Spinflinger, which has been very annoying, deals 1 damage on his battle cry, and then after you cast a spell, it triggers the second part and returns Spellflinger to its hand. So you can play Penflinger, coin, and it comes back to your hand, and you can play it again. It's not a turn 1 play I would recommend, but it's something you can do. So it created like a lot of fun and interesting interactions, like Headmaster Kel'Thuzad, for example, who has spell burst. If the spell destroys any minions, summon them. So this is, say, you destroy any type of minion with, say, a Shadow Word Death from Priest, then it comes back and gets summoned on your side of the board. So if you do like an AoE destroy with Shadow Word Horror, I believe it's called, then you get like all the minions that you destroy. So you can easily like take your opponent's board if that's what you want to do. Okay, the second new part of Scholomance is the dual class cards, which apparently I can't look up like this. Okay, we'll do it like here. Okay, so what does a dual class card look like? It looks like this. So it's basically half priest, half warlock, and which means they can be played in both classes. So in this case, it's a Brittlebone Destroyer. If your hero's health change this turn, destroy a minion. So this is pretty much a perfect dual class card because warlocks, they use their health as a resource, and priests like to heal up with their hero power. So both classes are very different, but they have that same mechanic in common, and that's why Blizzard designed a card like this. It makes for interesting interactions because now they can also use, for example, priest like abilities and put them into Warlock. I think maybe the most important card of this expansion is Lightning Bloom. So it's like gain 2 mana crystals this turn and overload. So you probably remember like Innervate for Druids, which got nerfed a while back. Yeah, so we need to do this. So this is Innervate, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. It used to be 2, but it was just too powerful for Druid because they really like to ramp. So they changed that, but now they brought back the Lightning Bloom. And they like added a bit of Shaman synergy or effects to it with Overload, so it's a bit more balanced, although still overpowered in this case, as I will talk about later. So let's see. So yeah, that's Spellburst we discussed. We discussed dual class cards as well. So let's dive into specific classes. Let's start with, well, we can start with Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter hasn't really gotten that much new cards. It was already very powerful in Ashes of Outland. But they got like Spirit Jailer, so they can do a bit more with Soul Fragments, which is also like a Warlock type effect. They do have Marrow Slicer, which is very powerful. So they also get some healing back from using it. It's 4 damage for 4, and then they can buff it up even more with their hero power. That's one of the really strong cards of Demon Hunter. Let's see. Cycle of Hatred has been very nice for me in Arena, where you can just destroy an entire board of low health minions and get them all back on your side, or well, get demons back for them. Void Hound was a cool card, but it's not seen that much play. So overall, I'd say Demon Hunter is still in a good place. It was in a good place before. It's got some new cards, but not all of them have been very impactful. Like Glide, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4 new cards. It's very annoying because your opponent has to do the same, which means if they have big hand sizes, like say Handlock, then they put 10 cards into their deck, pull 4 out, and then you get like this awkward situation where nobody has a lot of cards. But it's not really seeing play. Surprisingly, it was supposed to be really powerful and people hated the card, but it's not being played. So yeah, all the better. Druid, on the other hand, is being played a lot. So Druid's mechanic has always been to ramp up very quickly. It does that right now in this expansion with Lightning Blooms. It gains 2 mana here. Then we have the let's see, let's take all cards. They have Innervate, of course, which also gives mana, and they have the coin in some situations as well, if you go first or if you go second in the game. So that means you can cheat 2 mana, 1 with the coin, and then like 1 or 2 Innervates, so you can cheat 5 mana easily. In like the best case, that means you can play Overgrowth on the first turn if you want to, so you gain 2 empty mana crystals. And of course, Druids go like 1 step further, and they got some really good cards to use that advantage in the mana. One of them is Guardian Animals, so you summon 2 beasts that cost 5 or less from your deck and give them Rush, and you do all that for only 7 mana. So it's been really fun to see that happen, or well, not really actually. So Teacher's Pet is also a new Scholomance card, which then gets summoned. So you get a Taunt, you get it with Rush, and then you summon another 3-cost beast. So it's very powerful. Twilight Runner is another one of those cards which, has like a very good effect. It also has stealth, so if you summon it, you can choose to keep it or not. And if you choose to keep it, then you can play the 10-cost Druid card, which is called Survival of the Fittest. And so it gives 4/4 to all minions in your hand. And on the battlefield as well. So if you have a bunch of stealthed minions, then you can just buff them and attack with them. And there's not much your opponent can do at all. This also gets abused a lot with Keltas. No, what's the card called? Let me see. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, the card that summons a that makes your 3rd spell every turn go free. That's probably Kyle. Yes, it's Kaltas. Kaltas Sunstrider. So every turn spell you cast, each turn costs 0. So it was a free card, I think, for BlizzCon last year or something. And so you can do like an Innervate, you can use a coin, which are cheap spells, and I can just use the 10 mana spell totally for free. So that's quite nice as well for Druid 10, of course. Other than that, we have Mage. Mage has gotten like a lot of smaller minions, I would say. So let's see. So one of the cards that was really good actually as well is Devolving Missile. So it makes enemy minions smaller, which is really good. And Lab Partner is like one of the cheap mana mage minions that are new. This one gets used a lot, especially in like cheap spell mage, which uses only like cheap minions such as this or this one. So you get like an Arcane Missiles, which is a cheap spell as well. You can discover cards, and then you basically just buff it with yeah, with spell power. So there's a couple of new spell power minions as well. There's like Ra's Frost Whisper, which deals damage to enemies based upon spell power, and that can really escalate pretty quickly. There's also Mozaki, which has like spell damage +1, but every time you cast, say, an Arcane Missiles, it gets 1 extra spell damage. So if you really chain it, then you can clear entire boards and even just kill your opponent straight up. It's like a Malygos you can play on turn 5 and keep possibly a bit longer than normal Malygos. Jandis Barov is also one of the really good cards, so it can be played in Rogue and Mage, as you can see at the bottom here. And that's just, yeah, it's a really good card right now. It summons 2 5-drops as well as the Janice stays on board, and you have to pick one which dies if it takes damage. But because you can summon a lot of crappy minions as well, you usually give the crappy minion like the effect, and then it dies after taking 2 damage, which is, or 1 damage, which is totally totally fine. So yeah, it's can be very aggressive, the deck, but you can also run out of stuff if you don't have the correct cards to deal with it. So Evocation, Fill Your Hand with Mage Spells is like played in this deck because it's perfect for that situation. As far as Paladin goes, let me see, do I have a deck here? I don't have one. So yeah, Paladin, we have Libram Paladin, or Pure Paladin, as you can call it. So you can still buff yourself. Oh no, this is actually another one. But yeah, we still have the Librams of Paladin, which can be used still. So you got AoEs, you got healing, all that stuff. Pure Paladin was already very strong before the expansion, and it's only gotten better right now. So we got like the Argent Braggart, for example. So you summon a big, powerful minion, and then this one just gains the attack and health of that same minion for only 2 mana, which is crazy because you can summon an 8/8 and then another 8/8 for 2 mana more. It's a really good card, if you like Paladin at least. There's also Blessing of Authority, which gives a minion 8/8 and can attack heroes this turn. It's so strong because you can play it on turn 5 on, like, say, a hero power. So like on a token, and you get a 9/9, and it's very hard to deal with for most classes on turn 5. So it's probably gonna survive at least 1 turn. So yeah, better tools for Paladin. It's no new decks. Same with Priest. Priest is still very strong, very dominant, and it's only really gotten better with this expansion. And that's especially because of the Spellburst. So we got Cabal Acolyte, which says gain control of a random enemy minion with 2 attack or less. And it just happens to be so that there is a new 1 mana spell, Wave of Apathy, which puts all the attack of enemy minions to 1. So what happens is you play the 4-drop, then you cast Wave of Apathy, and that one triggers, and then the spell burst goes after that, so it takes 1 random minion and puts it on your side of the board. Of course, you can also use that then with Cabal Shadow Priest if you want to. So there's a lot of synergy and stealing of minions, which has made Priest like the most or the least liked class of the current expansion, just because it's so dominant as well. Timer just killing minions, Galakron just destroying minions as well, and of course there's this card. Where is it? It has vanished apparently. We don't have it. That's why. Okay. So Mindrunner Lucia just takes your opponent's hand and puts it in your hand until the next turn. So you can just take their deck, play a bunch of stuff that they might need or might not need, and then you give their deck back to you, basically. are back to them, and then you get your deck back. After they, of course, can do the same, but if you play it right, then your hand is probably garbage, and you can get a really good hand in exchange, which can mess up combos and all of that. Super annoying card. People hate it. People hate the priest class because of it right now, so it's going to be interesting to see if it gets nerfed or anything. Speaking of nerfs, I think priests deserved it. So Blizzard already put out their first nerf patch, or nerf patch. It's called a balance patch, I believe, officially. But yeah, there was Renew, which heals for 3 and discovers a spell. Really nice, of course, but not as nice if you renew into renew into renew into renew into renew, and then you heal for 15 health in 1 turn, and your opponent just loses all advantage that he had, especially if you use this 5 times and then you get like a Shadow Word Death and you destroy their stuff as well. It gets really, really annoying. So what the balance patch did was make it so that cards can't discover themselves. So a Renew cannot discover a Renew anymore, which is a very big change. It also counts for a couple of other cards like Magic Trick, for example, from Mage. So discovers a spell, but you could like magic trick into magic trick into magic trick into magic trick. Do it like this, and then, for example, stack up the spell damage on the card we just saw. So yeah, that nerf has been done nicely in time, I would say. I think I saw this one coming, definitely. So yeah, that's Priest. And Rogue has I used to like Galakrant Rogue a lot because it was fun and interactive, and it had like a lot of ways to create different cards and play those. But at the moment, Rogue has kind of been reduced to an aggro class, which is not as nice. So use a lot of the weapons, stealthy minions, minions that buff stealthy minions, draw cards because of stealthy minions, and self-sharpening sword, of course, which gives like 1 extra attack every time your hero attacks, and then you can like draw cards because your weapon is at like 6 damage, and this card's cutting class costs 0. You can also buff your weapon to get 1 more durability with Dr. Krastinov. Of course, yeah, you can play Janice here. So yeah, Rogue, not the most fun class this expansion, definitely not. But if you like the class and you want like a really strong deck to play that's not that expensive either, then Aggro Rogue is definitely a fun one. Okay, when it comes to Shaman, there's a lot of like control-y decks out there right now. As I said, Penflinger is really good because you can also do like a lot of aggressive plays. You can play like a Lightning Bloom, which costs you nothing, and Penflinger gets returned. Combine that with the quest that gives the battle cries double their effect. That means that you can do like 2 damage with a Penflinger and call it back to your hand, play it again, and do that like 5 times in turn. Which is real nice, of course, because then you do 10 damage, and at the end of the turn, you still get to keep the Penflinger in your hand. If you use 2 of those, it goes even faster, and yeah, people don't really like that. Another card was Instructor Fireheart. Fireheart has also been like really powerful certain moments. Like if you discover a spell if you play it, and if you play that spell immediately, then you get to redo the entire thing. So you can like discover lightning bolts, you can discover cheap damage spells which you can play. You can draw cards if you want to. You can get some healing if that's what you need. So you basically get all of the options that Shaman has to offer in 1 card. Play it at like 7 mana, and you get a few times that you can trigger the effect. And it also works with Battle Cry, which is really nice. So yeah, that's another really good card. It also works very well with, say, Cola Maximus, this deck. Okay, let's see. Is there anything new? Yeah, I got some new cards for Shaman. Devolving Missiles, because its dual class gets used here as well, which is really powerful. Mana feeder, so you play your hero power. I play this, draw a card. First strong on turn 4. Okay, Warlock is one of the less interesting classes to play. Right now we don't have any Warlock decks apparently. Strange. Okay, I thought I had some, but yeah. That's fine. So soul fragments are the key thing for Warlocks this expansion, but they don't really add up all that much. So you put some in your deck with all of these cards. You can get like a really strong minion of them. But I played the deck a lot, and it's just not as powerful as you would hope. You do have also access, of course, to Brittle Wind Destroyer, which we talked about earlier. And there's some other classes. There's also like a zoo variant that gets played a bit here and there, but overall it's a bit lacking in the value department. So it might get sorted out later in the expansion, maybe. Maybe we see some buffs to a couple of things, and hopefully it becomes playable as well. So you can play it with like Galakrond if you want, but there's not really that much value as well. Flesh Giant is more for those zoo decks, which like play a bunch of small minions that do a bit of damage to your hero. But then you play Flesh Giant as well as like a huge threat, like a big mistake, as it says here. So yeah, that's it. Other legendaries are like summon a random demon from your hand and deck, which is okay, but nothing really that impactful. Do I have this golden? Why? Huh, okay, well, whatever. Warriors here, so Bomb Warriors still very impactful this expansion, especially to like counter the more control decks like Priest. Not gonna go over that, it's just like attack with the weapon, put a bunch of bombs in your opponent's deck. Easy, but there is also the big warrior variant, which uses cards like Rattlegore, which is a very, very good warrior legendary this expansion. And there is other cards like, let's see, 7 mana. This one, summon a minion from your deck, give it Taunt and Divine Shield. So that's really good because, for example, you can pull a Boom Reaver or you can pull a Rattlegore and give it Divine Shield and Taunt, and then they have to attack it and it just comes back automatically. You can also go for, say, example, Dimensional Ripper into double Rattlegore. So there's a lot of variants. There's Deathwing Mad Aspect as well. So that's like a 12/12 with Taunt and Divine Shield. Really annoying. So I would say that Warrior is in a very decent place right now. It's not like the best class to play, but it's very, very strong. It also has like Reaper Sight, which does a bit of AoE cleave damage to minions. There's like Blade Storm, all of that. And of course, Brawl still stays like a really good tool for removal. Okay. I think we covered most of the new expansion. We talked about the nerfs that have been done a couple of days ago, like almost a week into the expansion, which is great timing by Blizzard. I really like that, so I hope they keep up like the pace of doing changes and doing nerfs when it's necessary and not 2 weeks later. So closing opinions, Priest is too strong at the moment. After nerfs, it got a bit better, but the entire Galakrond package makes it just like an infinite value machine, like we saw Warlock be, for example, with the Death Knight card, which could just like keep stealing life from enemy minions. It was just so powerful. Mindrunner Lucia, like we showed earlier, also super annoying. We don't want to see that card played, not at all. Preferably, we would like to see it changed to, I don't know, 5 mana, 6 mana. So the impact is a lot smaller and the risk is a lot bigger. Something else we like is that a lot of the classes are actually playable right now, except for then. I don't know. I don't want to say. Well, I do want to say Warlock is least played, and Rogue is not as fun, but it's getting played. So there's that. Dual class has been a really good choice for Blizzard, and I do hope they keep making more of these cards in the future, because it's nice to see the classes blend together a little bit more, but also have like downsides when using those, like with Lightning Bloom giving overload, which is really nice, and it mixes things up a bit. And there's always things you dream of that other classes have that you wish your class could have, and in this case, it is possible. So very good job on that. There was a lot of discussion about Glide for Demon Hunters before the expansion. I'm glad that's not happening. We talked about this earlier. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I did log into my North American account for this expansion as well, just to check some things, and I was nicely surprised that I got like a free deck. So if you're a returning player, you just have to log in and you can pick like a class, and you get a deck for that class, which is pretty competitive as well. It gets several legendaries in there as well, so if you want those, they can just go there and yeah, just log back in, play a couple of games with like a competitive deck, more or less, and see if the game is still for you. So definitely do that. Let's go back here or do this. Okay, so in conclusion, Scholomance brings a lot of new stuff, which is definitely worth checking out. A lot of the cards are usable, which is good if you want variety, which is less good if you're limited on dust and money to invest in buying cards. But overall, you should have a lot of fun with the game. The roadmap that Blizzard released also says that there's a new game mode coming very soon in the second phase of the year of the Phoenix, I believe it is. So definitely look out for that. It might be free, it might not be free, but also uses the cards in your collection. So definitely don't go disenchanting anything old for new stuff. Then there's gonna be a seasonal event as well. It's probably gonna be Halloween. Yes, I guess Halloween just still falls in the second phase. It's probably gonna be a Halloween event, like next or like the previous year. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's Grandmasters as well, where the pros play each other, which started, I believe, today. Which is the 15th of August, and some of the games already have been played off stream, and like some players like Thijs, for example, already qualified for playing in, I think it's Group A and Group B that you have, and Group A is where you want to be, and Group B is like the harder road to get to the top and to the World Championship in the end. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. You can still play Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I think they added Kel'Thuzad or KTF Kel'Thuzad or something like that to the game as well. So you can play that on their modes and Battlegrounds. There's like a battle pass which you can get, and you get like a bunch of perks such as access to more heroes when you start playing Battlegrounds. You get some arena tickets which give you gold back, and then packs as well. I think it's 20 euros or 2500 gold, so whichever you like. If like the normal card playing game is not for you, then you can just play Battlegrounds. I am very bad at Battlegrounds, so I just stay out of it usually and watch streamers play it. Yeah, I think that's it. This is my review. I would suggest you definitely check out the Scholomance expansion because it's really good. It's really fun. There's a lot of options. I don't think the meta is going to get boring anytime soon. And even if there's constantly variations. The buffs are on point, or the nerfs are on point rather, and maybe there will be some buffs. It's always a possibility. So yeah, definitely try it. Get some packs, even if you want to play free to play. That's definitely possible. Just look at some streamers, see what decks they play, pick a deck that you want to make, and then work towards getting that deck. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching my review, and I hope to see you for the next expansion. Bye.